I don't know what science
Happy.
does.
I don't know. It makes your dick hard. I'm pretty sure.
What better
What's
way
up,
to,
everybody?
what
Happy
better way?
2016. We're talking about erectile dysfunction here on the pre-show. It's me,
What
Sean,
better
and that's
way?
Geno.
What better way to ring
Hi,
in
Geno.
New Year than Cialis?
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Sean?
Not much, man. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah. It's 2016.
You're gonna have to mark 2016 down.
New year, new me. That's a
Is
lie.
it really?
New year,
I was
same
gonna
me.
say I didn't.
I'm fucking awesome. And
No need for improvement there.
yeah, I made no New Year's resolutions because
Resolutions are for losers.
again, I am a god. No, yeah, cool. What's up, man?
I already did it. I'm not doing it again.
I have nothing to say. I don't even. Raw happened
Yeah,
last night.
there's been no news, so I don't know what we're gonna talk about.
Just the slowest news day. So two things before we get to Raw.
Okay.
Someone in the thread asked that we talk about WrestleKingdom 10. He said, I know Geno will spend 700 minutes talking about Becky Lynch and how great she is, but can you spend at least 10 minutes talking about WrestleKingdom 10? And to that I say, no. Also, I didn't watch it. I don't watch. I generally don't. I was going to watch it, but it was, it's on at an absurd hour. I don't subscribe to the New Japan service. I'm not going to pirate the show, and it's just generally not very good for my business. So I don't really worry about it. Although Triple H is gonna make me start worrying about everything because dudes are coming to WWE, and I don't know enough about them. So yeah, we're not going to talk about it because whatever, Sean. I guess if you had a few things you wanted to say, you could go ahead. But do you?
It was a good show. I liked it.
Perfect. Also, Andrew M. Swift.
You glorious bastard.
Swift, believes his name. Who gives a shit if it's not? Did a Cageside Live 2015 top 10. Sean, how did you feel? This man wrote like 8,000 words.
That's kind of his gimmick. Is he writes a lot of words.
Effusive praise on Sean Rudiger and Geno
It's me.
Brasco. And that would be me. How did you feel about this? No, you told me how you felt, and I want you to say it on the air. I thought it was an awesome
I will tell you exactly what I told you in Cageside Seats offices, a.k.a. Slack, which is I was totally flattered and a little bit creeped out. And that's not to say that Andrew M. Swift is creepy at all. Like I said, he's a good writer, and I'm flattered, and he makes us look better than we are. The amazing thing to me about it is that he's got this whole, like, Cageside Live kayfabe narrative. When you and I just get on here, I wake you up and we get on here and bullshit, and we don't plan any of this out. Really, I mean, I know we tell you guys that, and maybe you don't believe us, but we are winging this shit.
Yes.
There's no show
format, nothing.
No. So I mean, the thing that creeps me out about this, and we've talked about it before Swift wrote that piece too, is that I still think of myself as this little fan poster guy who you started giving some assignments to. I don't think of myself as the guy that's read by hundreds of thousands of people every week on one of the biggest pro wrestling sites in history. Yeah. So that is still weird to me. And then to think that I have a character for some people, essentially, is doubly weird. So that's all. It's not that I'm accusing Swift of stalking us, although he might be. I'm not entirely sure that he's not.
I thought I heard some, there's snow outside. I thought I heard some footprints, people walking. Could have been him. Probably was.
Iowa's a big state, though. I don't think people could find you that easily.
This is true. Yeah. There's not a lot there, though. So you find the one house, and it's probably me. Yeah, I creeped out. Man, I don't know that I was creeped out. Like, I was reading it, and I had this big fucking stupid permagrin on my face because it's just like, it's cool in a lot of ways, because he was so nice. But I also was like, you're a little too nice. Like, you're a mark. Brother, you're a mark. Like, let's be real. Like, and he admitted that the whole way, but it's like, we're not as good as he said. We're not as bad as the people who don't like us say, but we're not as good as Swift was. Like he said, he's like, these guys have a better character development and storyline narrative than WWE. And it's like, do you think we're trying to do this?
Well,
we really aren't.
What's scary about that, though, is that he backs it up. I mean, he's not.
He's not wrong. I read it. Crazy.
I read it and I'm like, holy shit, WWE is terrible. I don't think we're great. We're just two assholes with a fucking Google Hangout connection who are doing a better job of telling a story than a billion-dollar company. So
with a shoddy Google Hangout connection on a consistent basis. And you got your new headset. It looks snazzy.
Thanks. Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, it's working well. But yeah, so that's an indictment against WWE that we can run stories and have consistent, we can be consistent and whatever, like we're doing angles. And sometimes we do. We work some gimmicks. Yeah. And not really plan it or put it together in any way to where it like is building to something. Like I know some other shows do that and we don't do that. We just kind of go. And that if it's better in any way, it's by accident, which doesn't say that we're great. I think it says that they're shitty. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, thank you for writing that. We appreciate it. We wanted to make sure we talked about it on the air to ensure that
I linked to it in the body of the thing too, along with. I told I don't know why people were asking us to talk about WrestleKingdom 10 because I said right in the thing that you had no idea what I was talking about when I wrote a sentence about WrestleKingdom 10. So
yeah, I don't. Yeah, and it's not. I mean, this show I guess did a couple hits for us. I won't give our numbers.
I mean, it's their WrestleMania. If I will say this, if you haven't seen it, if you're interested in checking out New Japan, this is a good show to check out. The main event is the culmination of a very long story, but I don't think you need to know it. It's better if you do know it, but if you, I don't think you need to. If you like to watch two dudes just stiffen the fuck out of each other, go watch the Never Open Weight. And that's, Geno, I would tell you, if you're just going to like look for one online, find the Shibata Ishii match. Those dudes just beat the huss out of each other. Shoot. And Styles Nakamura is a great match, and they're apparently both coming to WWE. So
someone asked me, I think I saw someone in the thread say they'd want to know what I would think about. I think that's the match. What is it?
It's Shibata versus Ishii for the Never Open Weight Championship.
Now, when you say they just beat the shit out of each other, are we talking like Brock Lesnar style, like just chucking dudes, just hurting them?
More just like kicking and chopping dudes, but there's some tossing.
Just violence.
Shibata left New Japan. His character story arc is that he left New Japan to go fight MMA, and he came back and he's sort of been being punished for leaving since, but he's got that background. Ishii's just a big fucking brawler. He sort of is like a short Japanese Lesnar. And yeah, they spend the first like 10 minutes just trying to hit each other the hardest for real, and then they start wrestling.
I don't like that.
Well, there you go. Well,
if I wanted,
you could shit on it.
Yeah, if I wanted,
think you'd like it.
I mean, maybe, but like, I don't generally like pro wrestling that goes to those places. It's a work.
I just think
I don't need.
I just think they creatively. I just think they creatively do it. I don't think it's not. It doesn't look like an MMA fight.
I don't want to watch people actually get knocked out. If I did, I'd watch the UFC. If they're never going to do it as good as the UFC does. I mean, it's not. I just, you know what I mean. Not that moves are fine or whatever, but I'm more storytelling, and it's not even moves when you get to that point. It's just I don't know what you're doesn't add interest to your dick.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of the story there. So they've actually worked that in. All right, whatever, fine. Shit on it without even seeing it. See if I care.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know the story, so if that's part of the story, then it'd be a wonderful thing. Like you get in there with Brock and Cena and shit, and Brock's like they're cutting each other up for real. It's like I would you accept that as part of the story because it's such an intense whatever. So let's finally get to Raw after 10 minutes of not talking Raw.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you'd have to listen to Kevin Kelly and Matt Stryker, so you'd probably shit all over it.
I saw nothing but hatred for those two.
They were not good. I don't mind Stryker. I don't mind Stryker on LU, Lucha Underground. I've never been a Kevin Kelly fan. He does okay on Ring of Honor, but very good, especially compared to last year when you had JR doing it. So.
I remember Kevin Kelly in the 90s in WWF. I always liked WCW. Mm-hmm. I was like their announcers.
I know that about you, Sting Mark.
their show, their presentation. I always defended WWF though. Isn't that strange? Like people would talk about stuff, and I'd always be like, "No, WWF's better." But then on Monday night, my 11, 12-year-old self would always watch WCW, and then I would, is Austin on? Okay, now I'll watch WWF. That's essentially my attitude.
That's interesting.
Bruh, lot of fucking shit happened, dude. A lot of stuff that we disagree on.
Okay. I know there's one thing. Well, I don't even think we disagree on it that much. I'm just a mark for the guy, and you're not. I mean, I will not. I'm not going to sit here and defend his performance last night if that's something that you're.
A man walked out, a 40-whatever-year-old man. He's old as shit. Walked out wearing a fucking V-neck, like a vest, plunged low, didn't cover his belly button, nothing on under it or over it, with a light-up jacket. I don't even know what pants he was wearing. I'm sure they were ridiculous. I was trying not to pay attention. I was trying not to pay attention to his utterly asinine outfit, and told the New Day that they look ridiculous. The lack of self-awareness is stunning.
Is this surprising to you at all from anyone? Every pro wrestler ever has zero self-awareness. Yeah.
He's not a
I'm not going to argue that.
He's supposed to be. He's not a heel. He's
No, he should
what
be.
Just happened?
My light just crashed.
You were plunged into darkness. He's not a heel, and Sean's whole world just crashed.
That's how I feel about babyface Chris Jericho. I get so excited to see him, and then he runs this bullshit babyface gimmick, and the lights go out.
They totally forgot about the story they were telling with him the last time he was there, which was only a couple months ago when he cost Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns a match against the Wyatt family at Night of Champions.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to turn heel, and Ambrose cut a promo on him about being a glory hound, and they were going to work a program, and fine. And they ditched this completely, and if you want to do that, that's fine, because I have no interest in a Jericho-Ambrose program. I have no interest in Chris Jericho. But I really have no interest in that. Old dude who thinks he's hip, and he's just the furthest thing from it, against lunatic who's not actually a lunatic. He's just a little wacky sometimes. And PG wacky is just the most ridiculous thing. I'd rather watch fucking Roadrunner. So they forget all that, and that's bad enough that they forget all this, and it's whatever. He gets no reaction for the big surprise return because he spammed these surprise returns in just the worst way imaginable. So they're not effective in any way anymore. It wasn't a surprise because, again, it's Jericho, even if we hadn't known beforehand. And then again, he comes out, and he was trying to do the shitty version of the Attitude Era Jericho, which was just a shittier version of Attitude Era Rock, which was, in hindsight, a shitty-ass character. So it's just like, again, if your big insult is to say, you guys look really stupid with those unicorns on your head, wow, what a compelling character. Just lame. Just done with it.
All right.
He also called them trap queens, which, look, I don't listen to, I believe, Fetty Wap. I don't listen, so I don't really know. Here's the thing. I will readily admit I do not know. I don't know what a trap queen is. I've heard the line. I don't particularly know what it means. Do you know what it means? Do you know what a trap queen is?
Like a boss bitch.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're not confident in that. You're also a 40-year-old white man. You probably don't know what trap queens means. And we shouldn't ever pass off like we do. We shouldn't. We never look at another man and go, "Hi, you're a trap queen," like it's a big insult. When I'm not even entirely sure what the fuck it means. This is what I said in the recap and on Twitter.
I don't think it's an insult, which is where I think he misapplied it. I'm not going to confidently say it. I am a fan of the hip hop music, and I do work with some young people occasionally. So I have my finger on the pulse of.
You're down with the 411.
I'm aware of the I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think he misused that. I think he misused that. He was wearing skinny jeans. I just went back and looked, so that's bad. I can't defend. I don't. I hate him as a babyface. I pretty much always have, but certainly in the last 10 years, I don't. What you and I were beefing about on Twitter is you're like, I don't care for anything he's done after 1998, which I think is a ridiculous statement.
Not what I said.
Well, you kind of did. Don't make me go look it up.
Here's what I said. We'll never get 1998 Chris Jericho back. So I don't care to see him. That doesn't mean he hasn't done good things. Doesn't mean he hasn't been involved in good matches. Doesn't mean he hasn't had good angles or storylines. That's not what that says. It just says that he's not the 1998 Chris Jericho character. And so I just can't, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of what it is that he does. He ripped off fucking Anton Chigurh or whatever, and it was like, you're not that good, my guy. You know what I mean? Like that's an actually compelling character. You're not. The monotone, like super serious, and like, you know, he's like what Brad Maddox was doing. You know, when Maddox was like doing the crying and the character work, you know, showing his range. And I don't think Jericho has nearly the range Jericho thinks he has. I just feel like his best character was the whiny, funny idiot that could do whatever he wanted because no one in WCW gave a shit. You know?
So, yeah, I mean...
And you're saying he has good matches, and I to this day, he's about as vanilla as it gets in the ring. I mean, it's just not... Doesn't do anything particularly interesting.
Well, I mean, that's where it's subjective at that point. I'm not going to sit here and tell you should like his matches if you don't. I still do. I thought the Owens match was good. I thought his matches at the last two televised house shows, the Madison Square Garden with Owens and the Neville match in Tokyo, were good. I liked the cage match with Bray Wyatt. So that's three, you know, that's from his recent comebacks. I think I agree completely. The return shtick is just stupid, and he's not... It has the last good return he had in terms of a reaction was the fucking Rumble 3 years ago. So, and everything since then has been nothing.
Yep.
So they can stop that. Like I said, I don't like him as a face. I think he serves a purpose here, and the purpose is to set up those, you know, the tweets Biggie laid on him, and at least it's not the Dudleys again. Oh wait, but they still did the Dudleys anyway. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with the New Day. So.
That was horrible.
That's a whole separate... Yeah, but I will say, I think they fucked up because I think they have an interesting program with Ambrose that could really help Ambrose get over if they brought Jericho back as a heel to claim the title that he's held more than anybody else, which is the one that Ambrose just happens to have now. I don't know why they're not going with that feud. Hopefully they'll transition into it kind of quickly. They want to finish up the Owens thing. I don't know, but I think that could be a good program that would help Dean more than fucking wrestling Ziggler a bunch. So,
yeah, I'm you know, whatever. New Day.
I mean, I don't think there's a big argument there on Jericho. Neither of us are crazy about what he's doing right now. I'm just always going to be a mark for the guy, and I enjoyed a lot of what he did in the aughts. I like the HBK feud. I'm a fan of the film MacGruber, so. He's done good shit. I don't think he's talentless or anything. I'm not saying you're saying that he is, but I still have an affinity for the guy that you and a lot of other people haven't, because you weren't the only one spamming me on Twitter about how I was a bad person for liking Jericho. So,
well, that's
fuck you, all of you.
MacGruber. Yeah, that's true. You're like, he's great. Go look at MacGruber.
That was a joke,
like,
but yeah.
Which is like telling me that like Hogan never accomplished anything in wrestling because of Thunder in Paradise. Like, it's just a dumb thing to say. You're dumb.
It was a joke. Yeah. Anyway.
It wasn't a joke.
I do like the movie, but it was a joke.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I don't watch movies. New Day. New Day was trash on this show. I don't know if they were trap queens, but they were trash. They
need a purpose other than fucking being the comedy break on Raw every week.
Here's what they are. They are what a meme would look like in a pro wrestling crew.
A walking meme.
That's what they are. They use memes. They find a new meme for the week and they put it in their act. Now, sometimes this works wonderfully. Sometimes it doesn't. Last night was the case of it not working at all. So I saw the original video and all the memes that came from it of Mike Tyson on a hoverboard falling on his ass. It was fucking hilarious. I laughed my ass off because it was like a really brutal fall. It's a man who used to be the baddest man on the planet, and he's Mike Tyson. He's one of the most ridiculous people who live on this earth, and he's also kind of like an awful person, or at least he used to be, and so you don't mind laughing at him. So he's also rich as fuck. So it's a rich, ridiculous character who's actually a real person who used to be the baddest man on the planet, playing with a rich toy and falling on his ass immediately in hilarious fashion. That's funny. That's comedy, right?
People falling on their ass is always funny, but especially rich people.
You cannot reenact this with Xavier Woods. You can't reenact it and have it be funny. There's just no way to do that.
Because you don't
have any of the charm. Exactly.
Right.
You don't have any of the things that go into making it funny. You don't have that. It's just, and God bless San Antonio for just not doing or saying a fucking word. They just stood there or sat there and were just like,
yep.
Wow. That man fell on his butt.
Did he have a dick on his head?
Thrilling. He did. He had a dick on his head.
He did. There you go. And that's pretty bad.
And
you can't make that work.
We don't even have a good joke to say here. Like I'm not even inspired to try to be funny here. It's just they're just bad. This comes a week after arguably their best segment where Kofi's.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was just gonna say is.
Yeah.
I mean, they're proving your point for you.
Yeah, sometimes it works. Sometimes I don't think it's a meme to offer to fight your children. So maybe get away from memes. Maybe just be creative and not rely on, memes are pretty low brow. It's like the lowest form of.
They're not as low as puns, but they're pretty low.
Oh, God. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean got a raise today. You guys hear him. Shut up. You guys hear him complaining all the time about money. He got more money today. And it's amazing. He's getting fired on the exact same fucking day. I will not have you talking about Becky this way.
What are the odds?
I won't do it.
What are the odds?
So the New Day suck.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. You're absolutely right because they are. I mean, they're going out there for a 5-minute stand-up set every week, and sometimes they die and sometimes they don't. And I do think my favorite ones are usually when Kofi's kind of riffing and they're not out there with a set bit that they're going to do. So I agree with all that. I just do think they're moving merchandise, so they're making money for the company, and that's probably why we're going to just continue to get this. We're going to get 17,000 matches where they either beat or don't beat the Dudleys and a mystery partner. Because they're still making some money off of it, but at some point, it's short-sighted on WWE's part because unless they're an actual wrestling concern that we care about in wrestling matches, it's going to stop working. They have to give us some reason to. I don't care. I don't have any reason to root for or against them. I tend to root for them because I hate the Dudleys, but. There's no, I forget that the tag belts exist basically because they have them and there's no story around them. Nobody wants them. I mean, all this shit with the Dudleys, why don't they want the tag belts? I don't know. Because they didn't win them, so they stopped caring. I mean,
did Sin Cara pay them? Why are they just doing whatever the hell the Lucha Dragons want? It's good you brought up the stand-up comedy thing because I also put that in the recap. I was secondhand embarrassed watching that segment. It was like going to a stand-up comedy show and the first time out for the dude on stage and he just died. No one thought any of the jokes were funny, and it's embarrassing. You sit there and feel bad for the guy.
You cringe for them, yeah.
Yeah, he's secondhand embarrassed, and that's what I felt watching that segment last night. Where I was like, "Oh man, those poor guys." Maybe it's their own material, and they thought it would get over it, and it just didn't work, and that's fine. I mean, that happens, and it'll be a great story for them for later. They probably went to the back and were like, "God, that was a fucking abomination," and that's fine. And they're not it didn't kill their characters. They'll be okay, but yeah, it's just terrible. And like you said, everything else in the tag team division is so wildly uninteresting right now that it just is what it is, and it's what we've got. and you had the Dudley Boys, and that's somebody said we're like, oh, Jericho's back, and then the next segment is the fucking Dudley Boys. Is this 2016?
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah, wait for the main event. It's Vince McMahon working a fucking authority holding down the babyface champion. What do you know?
They're not in the baby.
What do we want to get to next? We want to talk about the main event? We talk about the women? What do we want to talk about?
Let's talk about the women.
Women.
The women.
Best booked program on the main roster. Better booked than NXT even.
They're not booking shit in NXT right now, so
I'm so in love.
They're on vacation.
I'm so in love with this angle.
I know you are.
If you're saying that it's just catty, your criticisms are out of date. You're not.
Well, the new criticism that I've seen people throwing around is that, well, yeah, but this is the only one that's not catty. Well, you got to start somewhere. I don't usually like that argument, but they're not even booking any other women on the show right now. They're focusing on getting this story right, and that's important because these are two. This is for the title. These are two women that this division is going to be built around for the next at least 5 years, I would say. So, yes, if they're going to knuckle down and make sure they get this one right, more power to them. And you can't say that this is that they're being catty because they're not. Even Charlotte's not being catty.
Nope. We're to a point where with this, the story's really good, but you have to pay attention. We're to a point where it's become very clear. Most wrestling fans are not going to pay attention. And I don't mind that the thing you're not paying attention to is the women. And the reason I don't mind it is because you've never been given a reason to pay attention. So you have a built-in excuse. Like, I've never had they've told the same story 68 years in a fucking row. Like, there's no reason to think that's changing today. Fine. You know what I mean? Fine. So if you're not paying attention to the details, okay. But don't then tell me it's bad because you don't know. You don't get to say. If you're not paying attention, if you're not actually going to watch the SmackDown segments where they literally explain pretty much the whole fucking story in one segment with one commentary appearance from Becky Lynch that was better than any commentary appearance of the past 5 years on this motherfucking show because it actually advanced the story, then you don't get to talk about this. You need to understand that you don't have all the information, and you should stop trying to act like you fucking have a clue what you're talking about when you very clearly don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. It's such a WWE fan smarky fucking thing to do, to act like you have any fucking clue about what's going on when you don't. You're not paying attention. I'm tired of hearing that she's Sting level stupid. She's not. You're not paying attention. I'm tired of hearing it's the same old fucking story that they always tell. It's not. You're not paying attention. It's just, or that the matches are bad because they're not. You're not paying attention. So it's always hesitant to blame the fans. On this one, if you think it's bad, it's on you because you don't fucking get it. Either you don't get it or you're not paying enough attention. It's probably both. And again, that being the case, stop talking. You have nothing to add to the conversation. It's just, that's where it is. This is the best booked fucking thing that they can do. This is pro wrestling storytelling at its finest. It doesn't get a lot better than this. The stakes grow if they tell a story like this, like with what they did with the Shield, and we all marked out and thought that was the greatest thing on earth. And we're like, look for catty dudes. Just some catty dudes. That's all that was. Just fuck glory hounds. Same old fucking story. Because it is the same old story. But like, that's generally what this is all about, people. They've clearly established character motivations and built an actual compelling story around why they have those, or why Becky does what she does and why Charlotte does what she does and how those two things intersect and how there's a built-in conflict because of it, but also they have a relationship, so that makes that conflict even more interesting. It's infinitely more interesting because of that complication. So it's, and last night was where we got to not necessarily the culmination, but a huge jump, a huge step in the story that they were telling, where Becky has spent so much of her time for all this time trying not to confront the fact that Charlotte is who she is. Or it was, and I actually thought I liked what they did here, because it was like Becky played Charlotte's game and then acted kind of like, ha ha, Rick, got ya. Like that's what we do, because Charlotte had been saying this is how you win in the big leagues. This isn't NXT. You have been forgotten, and this is what you need to do to get on top. And Becky's like, no, I don't want to be that way. But the one time she does go that way, she does it with her friend or family, whatever, and she kind of plays it up for laughs, like, ha ha, got ya, see, I can do that too. And then she gets fucking brutally attacked from behind by Charlotte, who shows that that's not at all what it means, that she's not actually cool with Becky. It wasn't just to teach her a lesson about shit. It's because she's a piece of shit. She's a fucking glory hound. She's the dirtiest player in the game. She's just like her father, all that stuff. They did a great interview backstage, fine. And then Becky, now at this point, is forced to confront it. And she cried. They didn't show it very much, but they showed her on the fucking mat in pain and it looked like she was crying. I thought, that's wonderful, because I can no longer run from this. I can no longer look at this and I can't make any more excuses. I can't look the other way any longer. She's forced to confront that Charlotte is actually a piece of shit, that they're not as close as she wanted to think they were, that all these different things, whatever. And now she gets a title shot on SmackDown. And then she's on Twitter talking about, the worst thing about betrayal is it doesn't come from your enemies, it comes from your friends, or, something like that. And it's just a wonderful, well-told story with characters, so a heel that you love to fucking hate, like fuck Charlotte, get fucking shot into the sun, a babyface who's wonderful and you want to get behind, and the crowd, they were chanting, this is boring for him, last week, and they were chanting Becky, doing the shit that we talk about, like the defense chant, like just get back in the match. Yep. These people didn't give a fuck about anything on this show. Everything on this show died a death. That didn't. And the match itself built up to the finish being what it was. God damn, dude. Becky did the bump against the ropes. Okay, first of all, they foreshadowed. I got ahead of myself. They foreshadowed this, where she's like, oh, in the spirit of competition, hey, let's go out there and compete against each other in the backstage segment. And Ric Flair walks up and says, in the spirit of competition. Woo! And then they walk off and go, that's called foreshadowing. Like, that's saying it wasn't subtle, but it wasn't so obvious that they're smacking you in the face, but it was clear enough that it's like, he's going to interfere, because this is what they do. The spirit of competition to a Flair means cheat. You ain't trying if you ain't cheating. Becky knows this. You say, if she Sting levels of dumb, she wouldn't have understood that. Goes out there, you get to the finish. Becky goes against the ropes, hits a leg drop on Charlotte. Rick doesn't do anything, so she got up and did it again. And you can go, well, she did it again because they must have missed the spot, whatever. I would argue she baited him into it. You could at least argue that she knew he'd do that, so she got up and did the leg. She was going to do the leg drop spot again, just so he would grab her. So he grabs up the leg. She turns around, complains. Charlotte tries to roll her up. She does the reverse, does the Oklahoma roll, whatever. Gets the fucking pin, grabbing the tights, and was looking at Rick while she was doing it. How fucking boss baller is that? Gets up and is like, ooh, I got you, motherfucker. She learned from her past mistakes. She was ready for it, Rick, you little shit. And she got the fucking pin off it. Charlotte's livid. Charlotte is like, this is the moment where we make clear how shit actually is. And Charlotte was awesome in her role of, how fucking dare you pin me? Even though it was, she's trying to get over on her by being dirty and playing like that. And it's, how fucking dare you do this to me? Whereas if it was legitimate, it would be, hey, good shit, you got me. Hey, now we can be a good team. No. And then beats her down. And again, Becky was like crying. Like, fuck, this sucks. Like, I thought that was the game. It's just, there's so many fucking layers to this, and it's such a good story, and the wrestling was actually good. The match was good. Vidance is in the threads explaining how they fucking built the match from the start all the way up to the finish. And the finish was great. Everything was well laid out. Everything was done well. The fucking backstage segment beforehand was good. The promo backstage afterward on the Raw Fallout was really good. Rick was fucking healing like old school Ric Flair. Charlotte was doing, it's wonderful. Again, if you're saying it's bad, you're not paying attention. Sorry. The guy was right. I went 700 minutes.
I think you need to go about 600 more minutes. But that's a good start.
Oh man, it's so good, and they can't win.
I agree. And I think, it's proving what we were all saying from the call up, is that Charlotte needs to play a heel. Maybe later on in her career she'll be okay as a babyface, but right now she is much more comfortable playing a heel. Yeah, I wrote. I mean, you sent me the link to the post-show interview, but I wrote a whole piece on it. I mean, I think it's making me remember why I love Ric Flair, because he's a better heel and he is invested in this story, and she's learning from him. And the great thing about this story is it is kind of a reality era story, because I think she is learning how to be a top sports entertainer from her father on the fly. So you can either look at it as the kayfabe story if that's what's going on, or you can look at the shoot story if that's what's going on. I wish it hadn't been such a clusterfuck to get here, but the last month has been phenomenal.
But it needed to be, in a way, because it was everything established before here was Becky and Charlotte.
Well, I could have done. I mean, I'm talking about like the Reed Flair stuff, and yeah. I mean, there's a lot of crap that I don't want to say that this is. I'm not going to bend over backwards patting WWE on the back, because this is sort of like it's how they do this a lot of times. They sort of accidentally get to the perfect place.
Yeah.
Some of it was by design, some of it wasn't, but now we're in a good place. So I'm going to give them credit for not fucking it up right now, and I'm going to give the performers credit because they're all doing a great job. Because, jokes aside, I love Becky Lynch too. I just don't like puns. So
luck has a lot more to do
else,
with it than people want to admit.
What, the puns?
No, luck has a lot more to do with people getting over. And not the puns.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, especially when you can't predict like who's going to get hurt and all these other things. Yep. I mean, they have to. There is a lot to what Triple H says. Is you don't know what goes on into the decision and the day of. We don't. There is a lot of stuff we don't know. There's a lot of stuff we do know that they do fuck up. But
sure.
I'm down.
Yeah. So we both agree that it's wonderful and it's great and it's good. Now, to make clear, Charlotte ultimately coming away out of this program as champion and Becky never winning the title will not equal failure for the story. It's still a good story. It's just not the desired outcome that you want, right? A lot of great movies, a lot of great stories, books end with the worst possible ending. And it's, I think I've talked about The Mist before, how The Mist is one of the fucking greatest movies I've ever seen. And it ends in like the most gut-wrenching way imaginable. Sometimes I think that's a good way that's what life is. The cheaters usually do win. The people who will do whatever they need to do to get ahead. We talked about that all the time. Psychos run the world, everybody. I mean, people like Charlotte are the people who are the most successful because they are willing to be people like Charlotte. And it's the reason we love people like Becky. It's because they are not willing to be that way and they never win. And so when they do win, it feels really good, i.e. Bayley. So it would probably be even better for Becky not to win here and continue her journey of trying to get to the top via she should be a career-long babyface where she just is, I'm going to do it my way. I'll get there. I'll keep fighting and I'll scratch and claw and I'll fight everybody, but I'll get there and eventually get there.
I think that's what, people who praise NXT and, badmouth main roster storytelling, this is an NXT story in a lot of ways, and I think that's one of them. Is I would be surprised if Charlotte. I think part of what this is doing is cementing Charlotte as a top heel, so she should beat Becky. I think. I mean, and don't look at it like this is the end of their story. They've established them as these lifelong friends or whatever, career-long friends. This should continue on. They should be each other's primary rivals, and sometimes at different points along the way, Becky will get the upper hand, but it doesn't need to be right now. And you'll pop like a motherfucker if it's not right now. When it finally happens at SummerSlam or next WrestleMania or whenever, the build-up is part of it. I mean, that's
let them tell the story.
Yep.
Let them tell the story. Pay attention to the details. Dare to get into it. If you do, it's wonderful. And I got called a mark. I got called a bunch of other names, and Scott Christ is one of the people. I love Scott Christ. I think he's great, and I got into an argument with him last night because that was trash. Same old shit. I was like, bro, you're not paying attention. Your opinions are usually spot on. You're just not paying attention at all. And then he built a straw man. He's like, oh, yeah, the Divas Revolution. It's like that shit went away a long time ago. Again, criticisms are out of date, man. They really are. Those criticisms are out of date, and you need to stop. Because it's just not what's happening at this point. Paige completely disappeared. Actually, before we get off of this, what the fuck happened to Sasha? She ain't even on social media from what I could see. She hasn't been on her Tumblr or Twitter. I mean, maybe she's been liking stuff, but I haven't seen any tweets from her. I don't even know that I've seen retweets from her. Like, where did she go? She hasn't been on TV for weeks. What's going
I
on?
don't know.
You
Maybe
don't know?
she's going to Aiden English's wedding. I don't know. I mean, she was
I
on
thought you were the
TV
Sasha
last week.
stan.
Well, I'm not a stan. I like her a lot, but I don't.
So you don't have.
I didn't notice she hadn't. I didn't notice that she hadn't been on social media. No, I don't know. I mean, they may have told her to lay low and so they can focus on this story. I don't know. They got nobody for her to feud with.
What do you think that?
I mean, they cut the Divas match that was supposed to air on SmackDown last week, which was Team Bad versus the Bellas. They've taken everything off the table except for
they didn't air
this
that
angle. No.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know that it's Sasha specific. I think there's. I mean, they're focusing on. Charlotte versus Becky is the money feud right now.
Nikki Bella was on Twitter last night, and she's like, "Are we an hour and a half in, and there's only been 2 women on the show? Like, what the hell?" And it's like, do you not watch the show otherwise? When you're on it, do you just not pay attention? Because this is totally how it is. If you were on it,
well, her man wasn't on either. So
where the hell was John Cena?
I know.
Johnny C, Fitness Fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you told me in the.
I mean, you thought on Twitter, right? You were thinking that he was going to come in and stop Vince from interfering or something. Was your prediction, right? Or was that somebody else that you retweeted? I agree. It would have taken. I thought you were right, and I was preemptively pissed because it would have taken the focus off of Roman. But
preemptively pissed is a great phrase.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought
that's how most of us watch. Like, I was all ready to be pissed.
Yeah, I think.
Oh well, I'm being corrected. Apparently, they did show that match on SmackDown last week. I missed it when I watched the replay on Hulu. Maybe they cut it off the Hulu version.
Oh yeah, Hulu always gets cuts. No, I thought Cena would show up for the main event.
SmackDown, they usually show the whole thing though, but I thought anyway.
All right. I thought he would come out and even the odds and make sure Vince called it down the middle. That's kind of tends to be the Cena character. But yeah, I think it's a better idea to keep him away from Reigns for now. I think Reigns Cena is a program that they need to get to at some point for the title. I don't think right now is that point. I mean, obviously, if that's not the plan for what they're going into for WrestleMania 32, but I don't know the plan they're going into for WrestleMania 32 because they threw a huge wrinkle at us. Now, first we need to talk about, we'll get to that, but we need to talk about what happened with Roman Reigns during the show, the main event. You know, I'm impressed. Let me start by saying I'm really impressed by Roman Reigns' ability he's grown. And I think he's more comfortable in the role that he's in now. I don't know if it's the belt or what, but he seems a lot more confident in what he's saying and how he's saying it. He's been in the ring with Stephanie McMahon on a microphone on multiple occasions, and he's held his own every time. He's never been embarrassed. He's getting over on her because that's how they're writing it. But I've never felt like he doesn't belong in there with her. And it's tough because she's a hell of a promo, and she's a hell of a character. And because of how she is and how they write it and the backstage stuff that goes into that, again, we've talked about how no one goes over on Steph. It's impressive. She casts a long shadow. So that's the number one rule of the character is he's always got to get over Stephanie. He can't sell her bullshit. And he hasn't been, and I think they've been doing a wonderful job as far as that goes. To the point that I'm not like, I don't care that they're opening with the same shit. Like, they can keep doing that, and that's fine. Like, we got to a point where we couldn't stand Seth coming out and fucking just talking for 5 minutes, even 5 minutes. He's just that cackle, and the promos are no good. He's just not a compelling. I don't care about what he has to say. There's nothing interesting there for him to say. And now it's Stephanie coming out, and, you know, they're finding new ways for him to kind of piss him off, for him to kind of get at him, and I think that's the right play. It's not to hold him down. It's for him to find new and interesting ways to get over on them. Like, it's totally what Austin was doing in 1998, where it was like, what way is he going to fuck over, you know, Vince McMahon this week? Where there were so many different moments, you know, the concrete into the Corvette, the beer truck, the Zamboni up to the ring, the Bang 316. I mean, my childhood is littered with memories of Austin finding new and cool ways to fuck over Vince McMahon. And I think it's kind of cool that they're finding PG, new, interesting ways for Reigns to get over on, you know, interrupting her entrance is a really good one. And she's really good at, like, this motherfucker, I will murder his family. Like that's Stephanie. So, yeah. So I think that's good, right?
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, you covered it. So, do you think some people were pissed off? Some people thought that in the main event he went a little too far in beating up a 70-year-old and his daughter. And were you all right with that?
The main event was a disaster. That's what I was kind of getting to. The opening was fine, but the main event was it was bad. It was really bad. Overbooked is not a bad word, right? If something's overbooked,
No, we've talked about that.
Yeah, that does not mean it's bad in and of itself. It can be very fun. This was bad because Reigns did some stuff that just like at one point he Superman punched Vince, and then he speared Sheamus, and then he went for a pin. Now, Vince was the special referee in the match. So I will repeat that, my gentle snowflakes. Roman Reigns, Superman punched Vince, knocked him out, the referee. And then he hit his finish on his opponent and went for a pin. He knocked out the referee and went for a pin. Dumbest ass. You are the dumbest ass in the world. I was watching it go, how fucking stupid can you be? This is Kirk Cousins level stupid here. This is like dumb as shit. I mean, it's so bad I couldn't watch it without being like, really, dude? Really? This is our champion. This is the guy I'm supposed to support. And then he looked over incredulous like, why is no one counting? You just knocked out the referee, you fucking dummy. Yeah.
I wasn't as outraged. I mean, it's funny that I didn't understand, and I don't think they clearly communicated with each other what the role of the different referees was going to be in this match. It's like, because that's the thing that totally took me out of it was Vince calling for another referee when he is fucking there with his striped shirt on. To count the pin. Yeah. So I could see, like, a lot of times a babyface referee would slide in and count the pin. So maybe that's what Roman was thinking. It is pretty dumb, though. But then there's a lot. I mean, as soon as you get to Scott Armstrong showing up for the first time in years.
Total disaster.
It was, then it just got stupid. And it never made sense all the way to the end.
And so Sheamus hits the brogue kick coming in from the side out of nowhere, and it was stiff as shit, and it looked great, and fuck yeah, it was actually the only redeeming quality at this point. And then he goes for the pin, and he's immediately shouting to the back, come on, get out here. Vince, I guess he was supposed to keep selling maybe that he was knocked out. He's right there. He's okay. His arms are able to execute a 3 count, fast even, to get the belt off Roman. He's like, oh shit, we fucked this up. And he starts calling for the ref. Armstrong comes out, and Cole immediately freaks out because he's a crooked ref. But you're right. We haven't seen him in years. And so he comes out, he does the gimmick, and he fails to get the 3 count because he doesn't count fast, which is, Nick Patrick fucking 97 Starcade type shit, where he's not counting the fast count like he's supposed to. And so he doesn't count fast, so he doesn't get the shit. And they do the same fucking spot again where Reigns, Superman punches his ass, and then Superman punches Sheamus, so he knocks out the referee again and then hits his opponent with a finish and goes for another fucking pin. You gotta be shitting me with this, dude. And then but at least this time, another referee shows up. Why? Why isn't another referee showing up?
That's what he was counting on the first time.
Vince McMahon runs the fucking company. He's the evil boss. Why would you cross him in the name of, like, what is like all the referees in the back are like, they just see someone pinning a guy in the ring and they're like, there's no referee. I better spring into action. And then they
in the spirit of fair play and they swear a holy oath on a stack of, I don't know, somebody's book.
Exactly.
That wrote something about wrestling, and they swear to uphold the sanctimonious, I don't know.
Someone's being pinned and there's no one to count it. I better haul ass to the ring. And they slide in. It's like, dude, that dude got knocked out by Vince immediately. Like, dude, your boss doesn't want this to happen. He said he'd be the ref. What a stupid show. Just what a stupid ass show this turned into. Just in a hurry. When the New Day thing happened, it fell off a cliff. This main event was garbage. Like, it was so poorly executed. Reigns retains the title, and the fans cheered. But, like, everything it took to get here was just the epitome of you thought a little too hard about this. You did not need to do all this.
And you shouldn't have gone to this. I mean, I felt like I wrote about it in the preview. I felt like they were going to the well once too often. You know, they created such a great fucking moment with the first when he won the belt, when he Superman punched Vince off the apron and kicked him out of the ring. There was no way this was going to live up. And then to try to live up to it, they tried to book it to the fucking gills, and then they couldn't even keep straight what they were doing. I'm wondering is this part of why Vince doesn't like to be on TV, because he got out there and he got a little flustered and he did something he wouldn't normally do. And no, I'm not talking about flipping off the fans. That's something he would normally do. But forgetting that he's the ref and that he's supposed to be knocked out and calling for another ref, I mean, that just looked horrible.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense. And yeah, so they threw everything at the cover for the fact that they were basically, you know, aping the Austin thing and trying to do something they'd just done 3 weeks ago, and it blew up in their face. And the only reason it's not getting shit on a whole lot more is because the stipulation reveal was something that caught us all off guard. And, you know, I think for the most part, the more people think about it, the more they're into it. So
yes, and that stipulation reveal being
that Roman Reigns he becomes the first person to ever have to defend his title in the Royal Rumble match.
What do you think?
29-year history of the Rumble.
What do you think?
I like it. I think I do think I fall into the camp where I'm pretty sure that he's going to retain, but I'm not 100% sure, which is always a good thing for me. It's an interesting stipulation. There's some concerns that I have that I think, as usual, I'm on the fucking fence, like with everything in life. I mean, I think a lot of times the Rumble is the way that they build somebody else, and so they're sort of putting a lot into it as a way to build Roman even more. But he's the most important character on the roster right now, so I understand why they would do that. And you can still, the good thing about the Rumble is you can still spin off a bunch of stories out of it. So I think it's great. We were talking last night. I mean, a lot of people were assuming that this is a way to set up Roman versus Triple H at Mania, which I didn't think of, and I still don't think they will do. But now that everybody's been talking about it, I can't get it out of my head, and I'm a little bit worried about that because I don't think that's a money match. But yeah, I mean, I like it. It's unexpected, and it presents a lot of interesting possibilities. So I'm down.
I mean, you'd think they're setting up for a Roman Triple H because that's obviously the program, and they haven't done the match. He's still selling I totally ignored your question and my exasperation to explain away how shitty the main event was. I do think they went a little too far. I don't think, look, you're not a badass beating up a 70-year-old man, and you're really not a badass leaning in on a fucking downed woman.
Yeah.
I don't think you bumped Stephanie. I got called an SJW on Twitter for saying it. I think you went a little too far with the Steph bump. You want to strategically use women being involved in physical angles with men. Fine. It should be a heel grabbing a woman up and getting his fucking ass destroyed for it. Like and I don't even know that, you know what I mean. It's just I'm not a. Well,
you have to establish that that's something that goes on, and they have so clearly established, especially recently, that this isn't even like when China was around, that there would be some women that got involved with men physically in competition and violent angles and stuff. They've established that never happens here, and then the biggest babyface in the company is the one that did it. I didn't hate it. I mean, one thing is, we can't say Steph doesn't show ass anymore because she did.
I mean, Austin,
I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was necessary at all. They accomplished everything they needed to without it.
Yeah, Austin used to give Steph the stunner. So they're going off that book.
But like I said, I mean that was kind of a different time.
Totally different.
In terms of culturally and their kayfabe, it was a different world.
And I don't think that again, there's a line that you get to where you don't look like so much of a badass, even in the real world. Like if you're at a bar and you're going, okay, you're the baddest motherfucker in the building, but then you're like beating the fuck out of a 70-year-old. I don't think anyone thinks you're a badass. And then you're leaning in on the 70-year-old's daughter because she comes running in and is like, "Hey, what the fuck, dude? You're going too far." Like, and to do that too is like a bad thing because then it makes it makes you pay attention to that. Like it casts a light on he is kind of going too far. Like the dude's 70. Like you're still the champ. Like calm the fuck down.
Right.
That's how you get over on these people. You win their title and then you keep the title. Like that's the ultimate get over. The get over isn't that you beat him up. And normally it is. And I think that's also speaks to the larger problem that we often talk about, which is these people shouldn't be involved in these angles because you can't, there is no wrestling match that you get to with them. So it's when it's Reigns against Vince and Stephanie, there's only so many ways to go because you can't get to a match. They're going to do that with Triple H whenever the hell he comes back. But in the meantime, you get stuff like this. So, like, I understand it in a way, but at the same time, I don't want to see him leaning in on Stephanie McMahon. I don't. If you do, fine, I guess, but I don't think it's the way to go with the character. I don't ever want to see a man leaning in on a woman. If I see it in the real world, in fact, I'd get into a fight. I don't even care if it's a stranger. Like I won't. That's not okay. So yeah, but as far as the stipulation, the Rumble, I think it makes it so much more interesting than it's been in a number of years. I really do. It's because it sets up too. They didn't say that he'd be the number one guy. They said he'll defend it against 29 other guys, but that's their go-to line. They'll say if you're going to get a shot, you're going to have to do it against 29 other guys, and it's never really the case for anyone who doesn't enter from number one. Or number two, I guess. Generally, because you enter at 30, maybe you only have to beat 5 other guys, So it's just whatever. So I hope he goes in at 1 and has to, take on all comers. And I feel like it could also be cool if they did it like 98 where everyone's gunning for him, like Austin. He comes in and everyone literally stops in the ring and waits for him to get down to the ring. Like, oh yeah, let's fuck this dude up and throw him out. And then he came from behind and they all just swarmed him, but he was fighting them off. And then it sort of settled into a normal Rumble. But yeah, I think there's a lot of storytelling possibilities here. There's a lot of different ways they can go with this. And it's just, I don't know, it's really interesting. The Wyatt family's all going to be in there. And that's what that means and what numbers they draw to how they can work that around. Who's going to eliminate those big fucks? I guess Roman Reigns might be the guy. Big Show's in. There's Jericho's in now. There's going to be a ton of talent in there. AJ Styles might be in.
You think Lesnar ends up in there?
No one cared about that.
No, I mean I care, but I thought that's a whole different topic.
No, I don't. I don't think that now because of this.
You don't think Lesnar will be in there?
I think it would be a horrible idea.
Not going to have a match at the Rumble?
I think it would be a horrible. Well, see, I don't know because I think it would be a horrible idea to do Reigns versus Triple H at WrestleMania with the title on the line. That's a garbage idea. But if they want to do that, then they have to have Brock versus Rock set up, right? And Cena Undertaker. That has to be the top 3 matches if that's the route you want to go. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what Brock's going to do at the Rumble because if I can't imagine him getting in the match and then or he would, but then The Rock. I don't know, and I think that's part of what's so cool about it too is I don't know. Like there's so much about this where I go, God, there's a million ways they can go with this, and I'm unsure of all of them. Like I see a lot of people comparing Reigns to Cena and going, LOL, Reigns wins. This is just a way for him to overcome 29 guys. This is dumb. And it's like I don't get that feeling at all. I'm not entirely sure he's gonna win. No. I feel like there's a lot of outcomes that are actually feasible, right?
I think he probably will win because I think that they want him to be the first person in history to do this. So I still think if I'm betting, I'm still betting that he retains, but I'm not. I don't think it's a lock. I don't think it's an obvious conclusion. I don't know. I mean, like you said, I'm intrigued on where all this goes. I mean, I guess I'm assuming Cena's not in the match. He's probably going to have Del Rio. I guess. I mean, what's interesting is I guess Ambrose probably isn't in the match because he's probably going to have an IC title match because you got to fill the card out still. So I'm wondering if they do something where they make sure maybe the Usos get a tag title shot.
No, you need those guys to be in the match.
The family out of there.
Now here's the thing. Why wouldn't they?
You could do it. I think you could do it either way. I can see where it's interesting to see if they're going to go after him because the belt's on the line. But it's also interesting to.
That's why you need them. WWE has this is what I put this in one of the posts last night. They have the task now of convincing us of as many guys as possible have a chance to actually win the title. Now, in a normal Rumble, there's only a certain number of people, and that's part of what determines if a Rumble's going to be any good. So there may be 4 guys in this match who have a real shot at winning. That's what we'll do, and then we'll go, okay, but who are the 4, and then we'll have fun with that. And normally you'd go, but even then, you'd say, well, it is Rumble. They could make a guy. You never know, and there have been some surprises in the past. This time, it's the fucking title's on the line. Like, this is the grand prize. So the scrutiny's even more. So you need as many guys in there as possible who you could convince me might actually win the title. Cena's one of those. Cena has to be in the match. And there's ways to eliminate him without killing him. They've been doing it for years. As far as, guys like Undertaker and shit, you get him in the match and you go, getting eliminated in the Rumble is not a heat killer in any way. It's the Rumble, you know what I mean? I think everyone's kind of exempt from that. You're not going to fuck up someone's, you know what I mean? Their character.
Well, it all depends on how, it depends on how you do it, but yeah.
Sure. So yeah, I think you have to have guys like Ambrose in there. You got to have guys like Cena in there. People who are, and the Ambrose thing is a really interesting wrinkle too, where it's like, hey, dude, title's on the line. I'd kind of like that.
Well, but how? Well, then how are you going to fill out the rest of it? You got to do a 3-hour pay-per-view.
They can do double duty, Sean. That happens constantly, like every year. Why do you think they can only do one match? If you ask them to come
so you're going to have all of those guys do double duty? That's not. I mean, they don't.
All of them were
have
throwing 2 people.
I don't understand why you. I mean, for me, I don't know why. I don't know how putting Ambrose in there makes you. You think they're gonna? You think they'd book Ambrose to win the WWE title heading into Mania?
No, but I think
for a second. So I don't know how that helps your thing.
I think
Cena, yes, I see that, but
I think it's good for the story. I think it'd be good if there came a point when it was maybe Reigns has the ring cleared out and it's, he's waiting on the next guy and he's exhausted and he's struggling, but he's making it. And then fucking and then everybody's like, oh shit, it's this boy. And they get in the ring and they're like, what are we going to do? And then they do the old, stupid asshole, loser buys the beers, and then they start brawling or whatever. And then the next guy in is someone, and then they decide if they're going to team up on that someone. Are they going to actually play it smart? There's a lot of angles they can go with that. So I feel like you don't get that story. You don't get those cool moments within the Rumble if you don't put that guy in. It's not necessarily about whether or not he's got a real chance to win. I mean, if that's the case, get Curtis Axel's fucking ass right the hell out of the match.
Well, I mean, you were just saying that it was about who has a chance to win. That's the burden on them. That's what I'm just saying. And my other things, I don't find that, I mean, just like you said, they've done that so many times in the past, so I don't find that to be terribly interesting. I would be more interested in they really go with the one versus all thing, and part of the Authority's evil plan is to tie those guys up so they're not in the Rumble match, and he really does have to, there's no doubt about it, everybody's against him. He's not going to have any help. Because if you have Ambrose or the Usos in there, they're going to help him sometime, unless you're going to turn one of them heel. There's going to be times where he's getting triple teamed and Dean's going to help him out just so they can do the beers thing, go mano a mano again.
Well, maybe
so if you really want to make him against everybody, I would keep the family out of the match.
Well, that's also good for later when they turn one of those guys against each other. I mean, I just feel like it's a good story tool. And again, as I say, they have to convince me that everybody's got a chance. Everyone's not going to have a chance.
No, I mean that's always the problem with the Rumble, though. I mean, you never think that. Right. Fucking Hacksaw Jim Duggan's going to win the thing just because he ran in at 70 years old.
Right. My point is, it wasn't to say they need to only put people in who have a chance. It was to say that they have a challenge ahead of them to convince us of enough people. So I think for that reason, Cena has to be in. Because you're going to get to a point where there's only going to be a few people who you have an act. There are really only a few people who legitimately would have a chance at winning. Triple H, maybe if he's in. I don't know if he is. I doubt it. I've heard people say maybe he comes in at 30 and fucks him over, I suppose, and wins the title for himself, and Reigns has to win it back at WrestleMania. I've heard that. I think it's a terrible idea, but at least it could be possible that he comes in at 30. And maybe that's where Rock shows up to. I don't know. Brock maybe is someone that you could buy. Cena you could buy. Undertaker maybe you could even buy, but I don't know so much. And then kind of falls off. You can't buy Owens, Ambrose, Sheamus, Del Rio, Rusev, all these guys, and that's their failing, that we don't think of those guys as champions who could be the guy leading into WrestleMania. There's really only so many names that fit that out. But again, it's going to be their job to make me think that that's not the case. That make me think that maybe Bray Wyatt does have a chance. Maybe they're going to, throw us a big fucking curve. Maybe Big Ass McStrongman's going to get that huge push that they talked about. I don't know. Maybe Undertaker's in the match, and maybe they'll set up him and fucking Braun Strongman, or Cena and Undertaker. Maybe that gets set up here. I don't know. Cena's back on SmackDown tonight, so we'll see what they got going on with him. I want to bring this up before I forget about it. Do you think they're worried? Do you think it's possible this stipulation is at least in part because they're worried about the reaction he'll get at the Rumble?
No, I don't think so, because it's in Florida, which I don't think is Smart Central, even though it's near NXT country.
It's Orlando, dude. It's right near NXT. I think they're
but that's 100 people. Full Sail is not an army, and I think that most people who live in the
if they
Central
were
Florida area or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Let's take them out. Target them next. I don't think so, because the other thing is, and this, I don't really believe this to be true, but it's a hot take type of angle. Maybe part of the reason that Daniel Bryan's not being cleared is so that there's no fucking controversy. Maybe they finally did learn their lesson that, oh yeah, we'll clear him after Mania. He come back then, but I don't want him fucking up anybody's reaction until then, because there's not that guy that I don't think that the fans are going to rally around instead of Roman. I really don't. I think Ambrose has a lot of support, but I don't think he's that guy. Owens is probably your biggest concern that you're going to get a fan revolt. And he might not. I've seen a lot of people saying, I guarantee he's in the Final Four, or I guarantee he's going to do a lot. Maybe he doesn't, because they're worried that he would be a guy that would take Roman's heat away, that he would get cheered and people would boo Roman for eliminating him. I think that might be somebody that they worry about. Other than that, I don't see somebody that's going to steal his momentum. Even even if you put Brock and Taker and Rock, even if you put those guys in there, I think the affinity for those guys is a different kind of thing, that people aren't going to root for them over Reigns. But if you get somebody like Bryan or maybe Owens, somebody like that, if Cesaro was still around, those kind of guys might get the smart crowd behind them. I don't think you're going to have that problem.
I agree.
Could be wrong, but
I agree.
I think they've done a good enough job that they've turned Roman kind of into that guy. That bringing Vince back to try to screw him over turned Roman into an underdog. They tricked us all.
I don't think he's an underdog, but I do think he's...
not an underdog, but he's a people's champion kind of a guy now. Yeah. Whereas he definitely wasn't before.
He's an underdog in this match, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. There's so many ways they can go with it, and I feel like if I didn't know better, I'd think maybe that it was the idea is, and I think they have to start him early. Right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think he should. I would probably book something, have him some stipulations over the next couple Raws where he has to, win to avoid being number one, and maybe he doesn't, to really plant that seed of doubt that he's not going to be able to overcome this. Because we're so far, like you said, it's entertaining that he's gotten the upper hand on them at every step of the way.
That's
but great idea. If at some point they don't screw him, they have to get a victory going into this. And
that's a great idea.
He should have a match where if he wins, he's 30. If he loses, he's 1, and he loses.
Because I don't even know if they need to do the 30 thing.
I know. I'm just saying. Well, yeah, but for instance.
Yeah, if you lose this match, you're going in at number 1, and then they just relentlessly fuck him over.
And they screw him out of it.
And then he loses, and he's he's upset about it for a moment, and then he's like, fuck it, I'll win for number 1.
Yep. Exactly.
I don't want to go back to John Wick. I'm thinking of Wick. I watched it again last night, in that part where he's like, he finally stops the dad, the boss, and after he captured him and he escaped, and he's like,
"Oh yeah.
Like, give me yours." Like, where is he? And he's like, "You promise you let me go if I tell you?" He's like, "Yeah." And then he's like, he's in a safe house or whatever, and the dad goes, "They know you're coming," and Keanu's and Wick's like, "Of course, but it won't matter." And then he walks off, and it's like, "Oh, that's fucking boss, man. God, it's great." So a little something like that too, where it's like, okay, you're number 1. It's like, of course, but it won't matter. It's like, dude, this man's king. Yeah, so that'd be cool. But yeah, I agree with you that they do at some point they do need to get over on like it. You know, he can't just keep. I mean, Austin didn't get over every time. I mean, there has to be times when he doesn't.
No, and you have him lose the smaller battles like this one,
Exactly.
so that when he wins the bigger one, it's even more meaningful. I mean, that's what they,
Good shit, Sean.
And I mean that's what I'm. That's I mean I agree with you. I think they could go either way with having Ambrose and maybe Jimmy and Jay in there, but that's what I'm thinking too in terms of completely isolating him and really because that's why I think he's going to win because I think this is going to be a big fucking moment that we talk about for the rest of the history of the WWE. And the more he likes to overcome. So
our numbers tell us they're doing something right. There's a lot of interest in what Reigns is doing, and our numbers today are really good. As you know, everybody cares. People are in, man. They are fucking in. The live blog for Raw last night was huge. Traffic was through the roof. The last time traffic was that big for a live blog, last year's most traffic live blog was the Raw after the Rumble. The week after, not the very next night, but the week after, when Triple H was going to make a big announcement about the controversy of the Rumble. And the promo image was Triple H and Roman Reigns, which I thought that's funny. The biggest one from last year was these two. And now here we are. I also think I can't wait for the beatdown. I can't wait for, because we talk about John Wick. He was caught. Right, there was a point where they fucking hit him with a car and they beat the shit out of him, and he was all fucked up. And of course, he came back and won in the end because he's fucking John Wick. I can't wait for Triple H to come back, and because he is going to beat the fuck out of Roman Reigns. Like that's going to be one. I hope it's an epically long, drawn out, just brutal, bloody, violent, just an absolute destruction of a man. Like really fuck him up. Like he bumped his wife. He threw Vince into the ropes while Stephanie was on the ropes. He knew what he was doing. He bumped his wife. And now Roman's justified in the sense that those people have been trying to fuck his life up for all this time. Fine. But from Triple H's view, so you beat me up. He doesn't care about all the shit he thinks he's done to get here, right? You beat me up. I'm a man. I'm 40. Come after me. That's a good reference, and no one will catch it. Right? And then, but you bumped his wife. Then you leaned in. It's fucking time. It's going to be great. I can't wait for it.
There you go. Maybe it should be the Mania main event then. I don't know. What do I know?
Oh, maybe it should be. Yeah. What else did they have on the show before we get out of here? Anything?
I don't know. I mean, do we want to talk about that? Oh yeah, I was gonna ask if you want to talk about the New Japan raid, but
no. How much does it bother you that Neville's carrying his slammy around?
I don't really care, but I get the beat. I get the beat, but
who gives a shit?
He's proud. He won it. You know, he earned it. Good for him. I don't know.
Oh fuck! You know what we haven't talked about?
I know I'm supposed to be Jim Cornette and be like, faces shouldn't carry it, but I don't really care. It doesn't really bother me that much.
He's proud. He did something cool.
Exactly. He accomplished something. Nobody thought he was going to win. He's proud of it.
It does make you kind of a douche. It does make you kind of a douche. Like
this is a man who buttons his collar all the way up on his short sleeve polos. He is kind of a douche.
Well, it makes me think of Tim Sylvia is a former UFC heavyweight champion. He's from around the Quad Cities, this area, and he would go out to bars like in Bettendorf and here in Iowa, and when he was the champ, he would wear the fucking belt.
Oh Jesus!
He would wear the belt around his waist. Like, didn't keep it with him. He'd wear the belt around his waist, and everyone would say, "Like, you are the biggest fucking douche on earth." Even if he's a good guy and he's a hometown hero, and you walk in and you go, "Is he seriously wearing the belt?"
I'm glad Randy Couture beat the fuck out of him.
Just the thorough destruction.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's like if you're 50 and you're still wearing your high school football letter jacket. That's like Al Bundy shit right there. You can't.
Yeah, but it's still like, it was current. Like, it's not like today.
It doesn't matter. You don't. That's not.
So that's
not
the
actually
argument against Neville.
Accessory.
I
agree. Okay, I mean, I can't. They're not doing anything important with Neville enough for me to get upset about it.
True. True.
I mean, I'm glad he's getting some time on TV and everything, but I'm not going to get outraged about that. I can't. Sorry to let everybody down who wants Sean to be an old ass man.
I like Owens beating him down. It's great. The Owens Ambrose thing. Here's what I'll say about Ambrose. They've started to say, "Here comes the Ambrose Asylum," when he does the suicide dive, which in his case I like to call the cry for help dive, because it's an awful fucking move when he does it. If you're going to call him the Ambrose Asylum as a man, okay, what is an asylum, Sean?
The noun.
So what is an asylum?
An asylum. It's the place where you put crazy people, I guess.
Exactly, right? So the idea then is Ambrose is a fucking nut job. But Ambrose Asylum, here comes the Ambrose Asylum, implies it's a place, and he's the guy who runs it, and there's a bunch of nut jobs.
Right.
So here comes Ambrose
when they
Asylum,
say that, I assume that he's leading an escape from the mental
Exactly.
hospital. Right.
Here's how I want them to work this.
Okay.
Ambrose has multiple personality disorder. He's great. They could never do this because they don't have a clue how to handle any mental disorder.
No, exactly.
But he is a nut job, and he's got a lot of voices going on in his head. And so when he goes through the ropes for a suicide dive, it is the Ambrose Asylum because he's fucking crazy. He thinks that it's multiple people being thrown at you, even though it's only one guy. There's a way to do this. I don't know what it is. Shout shaking its head.
Does it involve special effects where
I don't know. There's a way to do this.
See
I don't know what
things.
it is. Yeah.
I don't know.
This is the man who lost.
We see it from Dean's perspective, and there's 4 guys. They're like dressed differently. There's like preppy Dean.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's like that Identity movie, dude. He's got a bunch of different characters in his head. That's the only way that line works. And if you're not going to go that route and figure out a way to do that, shut up. What else? Oh, we haven't talked about maybe the best thing on this show. The chains are off.
As excited about this. I'm not as excited about this as you are. I don't think.
The chains are off. Oh, Keithy Poo.
The social outcasts.
Shawnee Poo. Why don't you like it? You look stressed.
I just don't. I think it's fine. It's fine as 4MB, and they can be the job squad.
Oh,
and
geez.
I like that it's giving these guys a little something to do. Here's my hot take. I don't like Keith Slater on the microphone at all. I don't want him anywhere near it.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I don't, and
point.
it's not even like ironic. I don't find it as like, oh, he's so bad it's funny. I just don't want him to talk.
Dumb, it's good.
I don't know.
This is the very best of What a Stupid Show. Like, this is What a Stupid Show at its best. The point is that they're all annoying little shits, and they're all really good at being annoying, just being themselves. So it's just like, all of you are a waste of time. You're absolutely social outcasts, and the cold-hearted truth of the world is that we need social outcasts, or that if you have nothing, no, not that we need them. Here's the cold-hearted truth about the world around you. If you have nothing to offer, you will be cast aside. Sorry, it's just the fucking way it works. You're not needed. You're not necessary to the process. You're just there. Just being there and wanting to work hard is it's not a value. Like, it's not a thing that we can use. Hey, I try my best is not a thing that matters. If you can do it or if you can't do it. If you can't do it, you're not valuable. You're going to be an outcast. It's not a bad thing. It's the order of things. It's how the world actually runs as a functional fucking place. It's how we actually create a functional society. We need doctors, right? If you can operate on the patient, you'll be a doctor, and they'll pay you a lot of money, and you'll take care of the sick people in the world. If you can't operate, just trying hard doesn't mean you'll be a good doctor. So trying hard is not a value. It's not a thing that you need to have to be good. So you'll be, and if that's with everything, you'll be cast aside. That's what these guys are. It's none of us are any fucking good at anything. We all suck. We're all terrible, and so they have no real value to the show. The only value they have is to acknowledge that they're garbage, and maybe we'll get a laugh or two out of it along the way. The value they have is to be the trashiest, shittiest fucking collection of ragtag dummies in the history of pro wrestling, and they still beat Dolph Ziggler. That's the fucking best thing that fucking ever happened. These motherfuckers got together, the Job Squad, the Curtain Jerkers, everyone thinks you're the fucking shit stain of WWE. You are the shit stain on the drawers of WWE, and they still beat Dolph Ziggler. That's fucking amazing, dude. Totally worth it all.
You have put entirely too much thought into this. Yeah, it's fine.
Tell me why you don't like it.
I'm just not entertained by it. I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll turn me around, but I mean, I've already got. I mean, there's already the New Day that they don't know what to do with, who's a heel like comedy act. So, and I feel sad for Damian Sandow that he is so far down the fucking totem pole that he can't even get on this action.
He's the true definition of social outcast because they don't even let him do this.
Nope. So it's fine. I don't. Yeah, it is what it is for me. I don't hate it. It doesn't move me.
You hate fun.
I do hate fun. I'm old and I hate fun.
Your chains are on.
I have chained myself up in a no fun zone.
Shawnee poo, Rooter poo.
I know.
Rudy Tooty Booty.
It's fine. Can we get him to chant Rudy Tooty Booty at us?
No.
Like my man Chris Jericho.
So lame. I hope he's not in the Rumble match.
He'll get tossed out
for very long.
Anything else? You don't want to talk. You don't think Finn Balor's getting AJ Styles and Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson to raid the main roster together?
I woke up and I saw the new rumors, and apparently the new rumor is AJ Styles was a surprise Royal Rumble entrant, and motherfuckers ruined it. And WWE is pissed that it got out because hey. Nakamura was a surprise. Styles was a surprise. Gallows and Anderson, no one gives a shit about those two. I mean, they'll just go to NXT, and they're probably going to do the Balor Club, and that's cool. I think they need to do it. They need to do something with Finn. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
So the Balor Club will be cool, and they'll probably sell a ton of merchandise. It'll be a good thing. Has NXT ever had a faction like that, like a faction, like a straight
Wyatt family was there? I mean, that's where he first put together Harper and Rowan, but I mean, that's so long ago now that. Right. That's not modern day NXT. No, they haven't had a stable really
to run shit. They're gonna run shit. It's kind of interesting too because Triple H is a faction.
I don't know if they're gonna spend that much time in NXT. I can't see. I mean, that's the other rumor is that Styles isn't signed for NXT. He's signed for the main roster.
He's not a part of that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Gallows.
Oh, well, he's in the Bullet Club, so I don't know why.
No, I think they signed him.
I think Styles needs to be in the Bullet Club or something like that. I don't know that he's gonna. I see people are worried about Nakamura. I think he'll be fine. He's a charismatic motherfucker. AJ Styles is somebody who would get if they just put him as himself in WWE. He's like Neville. What's the point?
He'll die really bad.
Yeah, I think he needs to be attached to Bullet Club to really get over. He
needs to be somewhere where the people who watch are the marks who appreciate the matches.
But that's not the main roster. That's NXT, really, and that's what they're saying. Is, so I'm worried if they're not going to keep him, because I think Balor Club, Bullet Club, whatever you call it, I think it needs to be more than 3 guys. That's the whole thing. Maybe
not though, because it's NXT. It's such a smaller scale. You can only do so much with 1 hour of television every week. So I mean, if you do it, I feel like you could do a faction with 3 people.
Yeah, I guess. I just think that's the way to get Finn to the main roster. It's not to. He's already. I mean, he's hit the ceiling in NXT.
A whole big call up and have Styles be a part of it. Yeah.
Yes, I would do them as like an invading faction. Well, although I don't. The risk that you have there is that Bullet Club is so over with Americans that I don't know that they're a heel group. And you'll have that same problem in NXT. I don't know if you're going to get booed.
Trust me, brother.
Wearing those
the mainstream American people don't know who the fuck the Bullet Club is.
But you've got enough smarks that go to a lot of the. I mean, you see people in those shirts at shows.
I don't agree. Not this time. I run the shit. I couldn't tell you who's in the Bullet Club. I don't pay enough attention.
But you know the Bullet Club is a thing. You know
I know it's a thing. I don't know alignment. I don't know the alignment. I don't know enough about it. And that's purely me. I focus solely on WWE again for business purposes, but I couldn't tell you much about the Bullet Club. So I don't think they
It's
have
the same
any.
but it's the same problem you have. But they're if they're cool, they're doing the Too Sweet Me stuff. They're doing all the. I mean, they'd have to change the gimmick because the gimmick is you don't need to know it. They come out and they do all the shit that the NWO did, and that gets cheered by people today. I think it got cheered by people in 1998.
True.
Because it's cool heel shit. So you'd have to, if you really want them to get booed, I mean, it's going to be. Yeah, I think you got it.
Well, they could also just change how they do shit, because if it moves merchandise and gets ratings, let them fucking get cheered and book them like a heel stable. Fuck it. Although I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think that Finn Balor, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows are gonna fucking move the needle too much. I think it's a good NXT thing. I don't know that it's something that you can kind of count on to be a big draw. NXT's the draw. But they're announcing a bunch of more touring dates, and they need. They're really pushing hard for everything as we get into the lead up to the Royal Rumble and shit, and then WrestleMania. They got a lot of big shit planned, and they need to execute on that. And part of the problem was the roster, right? As much as we like to, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people who haven't been utilized in the way that they could be utilized, or we haven't even seen yet, like Athena, right? When is she going to show up? I was thinking about this. Try to build a TakeOver Dallas card. I have no idea. I guess Sammy versus Finn, maybe, but Nakamura might spend some time in NXT just to learn the WWE ways, which was the idea with Balor, and he's been there for all this time. I don't know. I'm having trouble building a card that makes sense to me. Who the fuck is Bayley going to feud with?
Asuka.
Yeah.
That's a money match. I mean, even if you do it as face versus face, people will lose their shit. Yeah, you got that. I don't know. I mean, they always find a way to pull stuff out. I mean, that's a critique that has existed of NXT, is that they don't, they haven't built people from scratch. I mean, their big stars have been Zayn, Owens, even Balor is somebody that came in there kind of fully formed, and they just tweaked him.
Joe.
So yeah. I mean, and that's what these guys are going to be too, right? I mean, if any or all of them go to NXT, these are guys that are stars elsewhere already, and that the NXT fan already knows about. They're not, the NXT audience knows who the fuck Bullet Club is.
Well, I mean.
So, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, it's
should be interesting.
Yeah, they still haven't, guys that you think would have made the jump by now haven't. And some that have never debuted, they never figured out what to do with Solomon Crow. He left. So, yeah. There's there. It's an interesting time, because I think, the announcement did come on the same time that they announced the network in Japan. So they're making some moves. I don't think they're trying to kill New Japan, just like I didn't think they're trying to kill ROH or anybody else, but they're keeping everybody in their place. And to people who think, oh, well, they don't view them as competition. No, not exactly. But that's how you stay on top, is by preemptively making sure that nobody becomes competition. And that's not a bad thing. It is what it is. It's smart business on their part to keep everybody else keep them in their place. This is letting we want you to develop new talent so that we can take them and you don't get too big.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a bad thing. It's smart business.
It's going to be a very interesting year in professional wrestling. What are you drinking?
Mm-hmm. It's a little orange juice with some. I'm worried about getting sick. Everybody in my family's sick, so I'm trying to bolus up my vitamin C and whatnot. Stay healthy.
I like it. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we go?
TNA debuts tonight. The Miracle.
Yeah.
New champ. Live.
Wow. I actually get Pop TV.
Yeah.
And we lost Decker because he doesn't get Pop TV. And he's like, yeah, I don't get the channel, and I'm not going to fight to keep reviewing it when no one cares. And then I was like, well, I get it. I was like, oh, am I going to review it? No. Fuck no. Like, hell no. And no. We're just probably not going to cover it. I mean,
and that's talk about somebody. I mean, people that are like New Japan and Ring of Honor are losing out with these signings. Fucking TNA, they were supposed to make this big splash of bringing people in, and they're doing fucking Michael Bennett, and now people are going to be talking about who New Japan lost to WWE. Fuck, they're fucked.
Well, that was apparently also Meltzer had said that Carl Anderson was on TNA's radar, and maybe he was going to go there, and then WWE kind of was like, no, they're going to come here because that's the place to be.
Carl Anderson doesn't move the fucking needle by himself either if he shows up in TNA all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's what's funny about it is like you're not the brand has to be behind it. Because even in WWE, I mean, it's mostly the brand, and NXT is mostly the brand, and that's by design. That's not it's not a bad business strategy because then you can make stars, and then if the stars do break out, then you can kind of do more with them and send them out into the world, Hollywood or whatever, to kind of up the profile of the company. But yeah, a lot of these guys are not. None of those guys, let's be real, are even the Nakamura. I mean, it's a big thing, but it's not as big as people want to think it is. Or AJ Styles.
No, it's big. It's big in our little world of hardcore wrestling fans. Yeah,
it's big in
exactly.
The bubble. But
big in the bubble. All right, what else? Anything else?
You're singing, so it's time to get out of here. You also
SmackDown is exciting. I was so excited. I thought it was live, but it's not.
It's a big show. John Cena. John Cena. Which they didn't promote last night.
No.
So maybe he won't be there. I don't know. They only promoted the 2 title matches. That's really strange. What the fuck happened to John Cena? We need to figure this out.
Get on it. I mean, he's still on the website. They're still advertising him for tonight, but tonight's taping.
So then it's supposed to be. So it's also the debut of Mauro Ranallo,
who is still going to fucking work with Lawler and Saxton. I'm worried for him. Talk about people. You worried about people who get brought on.
Can you imagine if they did Graves and Ranallo? That'd be the best announcement.
That would be
business.
Yep.
Fuck.
I'm not excited for Lawler Ranallo. I mean, I'm interested, but I'm scared. So,
it's gonna be.
But that's happening.
Fun to see what happens. But yeah, and then 2 title matches: the Intercontinental and the Divas title.
Your favorite storyline.
I don't think they'll do the change. And I don't think they should. I am interested to see. I hope Becky's got some fire, man. I hope she's just. I'd like to see her. I'd like to see her snap it out, man. Just kind of really, really putting the boots to Charlotte. I like to see Charlotte like go full Flair, coward heel. Like, please don't. Oh God, no. Why would you do this to me?
That's Flair. The trouble with Charlotte, though, is that you don't. She's not. I mean, she's supposed to be genetically superior and all that stuff, so she can cut corners. But I don't know if they can do coward with her. It'll be interesting.
And she's not as good as Rick, though, I guess, because I always thought it was the best thing when Rick, he'd be on his knees and he'd be like, have his hands up, like, no, please don't. And then he'd do the low blow and get up and do the strut, like, oh, I got him, motherfucker. Like, that's, And Rick was such a good fucking performer.
He's a great one.
But yeah, the story's good. So yeah, we'll see with that tonight. We'll have spoilers as we always do. Fucking site's booming today, man. Hits are great. There's a bunch of shit on the front page for all you little marks out there, you little dorks, to get out there and read. I don't know why I'm insulting you.
I don't know. And people don't read them. They just see the headline, click on that comment. You know that.
Yeah.
Nobody reads anymore.
Yeah, it's like we did the fucking post on Twitter and they're like, they gave their notices, they're headed to WWE, and then they tweet me, they're like, is this real? Click the link. There's a link. Click that shit.
We explain where we heard it and what we think of it and everything.
Yeah,
it's
also
a full-blown article.
The words are literally, they gave their notices, they're going to WWE. Are they? Is this real? No, we just put it up just to piss everybody off. It's like, are you serious, bro? Nah, bro.
Fuck it, bruh.